this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Brought to you by the Spam brand.
Some foods or TV shows just instantly take you back to your childhood. Spam Classic is one of those foods.
It's so 90s, but also so iconic that the sight of it sizzling just makes your mouth water.
Back then, we had Spam Classic, but today, there are 12 irresistible varieties to choose from.
It's like picking your favorite Boy Meets World episode. Impossible. There's Korean barbecue flavored, jalapeno, and 25% less sodium, just to name a few.
Spam brand. Sizzle pork and
Learn more and get sizzling at Spam.com.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World.
Let's talk Chewy.
Yes. For starters, they've got over 100,000 products. Food, treats, toys, beds. And as a dog and a cat mom, I can go to Chewy for literally anything I need, and it ships fast.
And Chewy's customer service is unreal. Day or night, they're ready to help.
You know what else I love? They handle prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits, and they're rolling out vet clinics across the country.
For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark. There's Charles W. Chuck Bryant and Jerry Rowlands lurking in the background. And this is Stuff You Should Know.
Smarty Pants a dish.
We're
doing Mensa, right?
Oh, God, no. I thought we were doing a cage-free redux.
Oh, no.
Yes, this is about Mensa. That's what I have pulled up too, Chuck. So this works out just fine.
All right, let's do it.
So Dave Roos helped us out with this one. And he mentioned a bit of news that if you looked up Mensa recently, it'd be hard to miss. But I believe it was their youngest member ever was inducted into Mensa. Mensa, by the way, for those of you who don't know, bills itself as the High IQ Society.
It stands for, it doesn't stand for anything.
So, which is super smart if you stop and think about it.
Yeah, it feels like it should be an acronym, but it's not.
Definitely. I'm with you. But we'll just go ahead and say it. It means table in Latin.
Yeah.
And in Spanish slang, it's a female goofball or dumb person, strangely enough.
Oh, the ironies. Hat
tip to Dave Roos for pointing that one out.
Yeah.
So as I was saying, it's a high IQ society. It's a society for smarty pants, as you put it. And they inducted their youngest member recently, who was 2 years old. 2 years old.
I mean, sure.
And they don't discriminate by age, which is great. Bully for them. And I believe on their website they say their membership ranges in ages 2 to 102.
I knew they were going to say that.
And I wonder if there's like a 104-year-old Mensa member who's like, what the F?
Yeah, I didn't fit in with the cool. Whatever, it's not even a rhyme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've always felt
Wordplay.
really bad about the people in what is that Christmas song? Kids from 1 to 92. It's like 93-year-olds still appreciate Christmas. You know, why cut that whole group out? Then you stop and think this is written in the mid-century, and there was like almost no one living to 92 because they were all having coronaries from cigars and scotches and steaks all at once.
It's kind of a random age, though.
It is, but it rhymed, which is what
exactly.
I think Mensa did here too. But regardless, this 2-year-old, Kashe Quest, just cute as a button, has an IQ of 146, which means she's got it all, basically. And with an IQ of 146, that puts her well above the minimum requirement to be accepted into Mensa, which is usually about an IQ of about 132.
Yeah. So you may have seen that in the news. Dave is right to point out, if you mention Mensa, the first thing most people will say, and I don't know how this got so into the public consciousness.
I do.
But they will generally say, oh, Geena Davis is a Mensa member.
Mm-hmm.
She must have mentioned it in an interview or something, but it's been a long time because I've heard that for a long, long time as like the sort of go-to fact for Mensa.
Yeah. I also heard another thing about Geena Davis. She used to bake cookies and bring them to like meetings. She was well known for that as well.
I heard another thing about Geena Davis because our friend and friend of the show, Jesse Thorne, interviewed her on his great interview show, Bullseye. And he said that Geena Davis is the best person. And he said she is exactly what you hope she would be. And everyone just felt like it was their cool aunt.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Everyone in the office, like she was just the nicest person.
Yeah.
And she sounds like the kind of person who would bake cookies in her Mensa style.
Yeah. And Jesse Thorne's hearing this and is like, hey, she didn't bring cookies to our meeting.
Maybe she did.
So yes, Geena Davis is world renowned as the most famous member of Mensa. Even though plenty of famous people have been members of Mensa over the years. Bucky Fuller, Arthur C. Clarke was the vice president of Mensa International for a while. Sharon Stone famously told people in the 90s that she was in Mensa and was finally
lie?
called out by Mensa saying like, no, you're not in Mensa.
Ooh.
Yes, she did lie, apparently for a good decade until somebody finally said something about it. And then James Woods is often confused as a member of Mensa, but I don't believe he actually is.
Who else? The guy who created the antivirus software McAfee, John McAfee. And yeah, there's a handful of people. And then, as we'll talk about later, there are a lot of journalists who say, well, I qualified to be in Mensa, but I didn't want to be involved.
Yeah, because that's the one thing about Mensa is a lot of the popular press that's done on that group takes easy pot shots at them because they are a group they're a high IQ group and they're by definition very smart people.
Sure.
But also in joining a club like that, it bestows a bit of an air of superiority onto you. So there's a certain undercurrent of that. And so people who write about them or cover them usually take pot shots at them and generally lump them all into one big group. But that's not necessarily fair to say because they are a varied collection of people for sure. There are weird undercurrents that are distasteful here or there. But overall, they seem to be okay from what I can tell.
Yeah, and there are all kinds of Mensans, which is what they're called, from all kinds of backgrounds and socioeconomic strata. I guess we could break down the percentages here if you want to get specific. It is 66% male. This is from their stats. 34% female. 82% have a 4-year degree or more. 63% graduate degree or more. 38% boomers. 31% Gen X. 13 millennial, and then the rest. But it's
like
not
Gilligan.
It's not a big group though. Like their total membership is a little less than 150,000 worldwide, with about 50,000 of those being in the States, and 19,000 being in the UK where it was founded. But it's a lot more people could be in Mensa that aren't in Mensa. Does that make sense?
Dave did the math as if to show off that he could be a member of Mensa if he wanted to. But what Mensa membership means is that you have tested in aptitude for intelligence within the top 2% of people.
Right.
So in the United States, say there's 300 million, just to make it easy, but I think there's much more than that now. That would be 6 million people who would qualify as members of Mensa, and yet, like you said, there's only about 50,000 in there.
Yeah, I mean, and I get if some people think that's a weird thing to say because you still have to take these tests. You have to be good at test taking. But if you just go by numbers of the top 2% of intelligence, then sure.
Yes, but it also reveals something that it's not for everybody. Like just by virtue of being smart or testing really well on an intelligence test, that doesn't mean you automatically want to be a member of a group that shares that thing in common. That's an extra, there's a very slight tranche of people who qualify or who would qualify who actually do want to join Mensa, but the ones who do join Mensa seem to tremendously enjoy it and feel very accepted and happy there.
Yeah, and that's also in itself a pot shot that journalists have taken commonly, which is these are people who are smart enough to be in Mensa and want to be able to tell everybody that they're in Mensa. And, you know, I'm sure there is some of that to some degree. There are people that like to flaunt their Harvard degree or, drop the H-bomb, as they say, or their Ivy League education or their Mensa membership. But I'm sure there are, out of 150,000 people, there are lots of Geena Davises that probably are just like, oh, yeah, I'm in that, but it's really no big deal.
Yeah. The worst of the worst are people who are in Mensa, went to Harvard, are on keto, and are into CrossFit.
Oh, God. Make it stop. And who recently quit social media. Can
you imagine?
Yeah. I can.
Party of one.
Should we talk about the history?
Yes.
Party of one. That's a good joke. So Mensa got its start in 1946, like I mentioned, in the UK. And it sort of happened by chance on a train. There was a postgrad student from Oxford named Lancelot Ware, who was coming home for Christmas break, shared a cabin with a 50-year-old named Roland Barrill. And Barrill was like, oh, you go to Oxford. You know what? I wanted to go to Oxford. I couldn't get into Oxford. And it sort of haunted me. And he said, I'm into all kinds of stuff, though. I'm a smart guy. I'm into phrenology and astrology. And Ware said, that's very interesting. I'm into testing intelligence. The younger Lancelot said. He said, I was in the army in Britain, and we did aptitude testing on troops. I became fascinated by it. When I went to Oxford, I was surrounded by smart people, and I thought it would be really cool to form a high IQ society within a school of people that were already super intelligent. And Barrill said, very interesting.
I envisioned him clapping his hands together and saying, splendid.
Okay, sure.
Because you left something out about him. One of the things that usually is touted about what Barrill was into, or Barrill, is that he had a plan to make all men wear very brightly colored clothing. I could not, for the life of me, find out why or what the point was, but it's definitely a thing. Yeah. So Barrill said, this is a very great idea. I think we should explore this further. And young Lancelot Ware, postdoc, student at Oxford, said, well, older gentlemen who I've only just met on this train, why don't you come stay with me at Oxford when I get back to school after Christmas break? And Barrill took him up on it. And it was there that they hatched the plan for Mensa after Barrill was given an intelligence test by Lancelot Ware. And when Lancelot Ware calculated the results and said, Mr. Barrill, you are within the top 1% of all people in terms of intelligence, it's widely reported that Roland Barrill cried because he was so happy and touched by that.
Right, and had funding to start this thing up, which was key. And so how it really went down was he told them that he cried and said, oh, can I see the results? And Ware quickly wadded them up and said, that's not important.
Right.
Take my word for it. You're in the top 1%. Make the check out to moi.
And Barrill said, splendid.
But they needed a name. And like you said, they landed on Mensa. I think initially they wanted to call it capital MENS, which was short for the Mental Health Society.
That's just not even close.
No, it's pretty
Where's
bad.
the H?
Yeah, where's the H? And also there was, I think, a gentleman's magazine called Men's. That's in scare quotes. And so they said, well, how about Mensa, which, like you pointed out, is Latin for table, because I just envision us like all these smarty pants sitting around a round table talking about wonderful things. And they said, I guess they said, sure, that's as good a name as any.
So originally, if you've ever seen that Simpsons episode where Lisa joins Mensa.
I don't remember that one.
It's a pretty good one. It's a cautionary tale about
Mensa?
Letting an intelligent elite determine the fate of everybody else while just completely discounting anyone who's not an intelligent elite, right?
Yeah.
And like Comic Book Guy and Dr. Hibbert and a couple other characters, Sideshow Mel, they're all in Mensa with her, and they basically take over the town, if I'm not mistaken, and it just goes awry. It ends up going terribly awry. But that's kind of originally what Lancelot Ware and Roland Barrill were envisioning when they founded Mensa. This group of the most intelligent British batons.
British.
That's how I say it. Yeah. In the UK, who would kind of be assembled to be a group that the government or scientific projects or whoever wanted to tap their intelligence could tap their intelligence. That was the original idea for Mensa.
That's right. And by the way, the keen-eared listener would have just picked up on my one-word impression of Julius Ebert.
What did you say?
I'm not going to repeat it. You got to be a keen listener.
Oh, man.
So if you heard it, then hats off to you. You're not allowed to rewind if you're listening at home.
Can I rewind?
You can't rewind. Nobody can rewind. You had to have heard it live.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like 2 people will have gotten it. And
that's
one person
fine.
thought
And the
it was
rest
not
of
good.
us are all mad now.
Oh, that's okay. I'll do it for you off mic. So yeah, they wanted a kind of a, from the sounds of it, almost like a Rolodex of Smarties, because they wanted to not just have that list, but they even said in their charter they wanted it in the hands of anthropologists and ministers of the crown. Like they wanted people that mattered to have this list on hand. Like who do I need a smart person. Let me look at my Mensa list. And their goal, I think, did you mention, was 600 people with their contact information so they could get in touch. And it took them 13 years to get to that benchmark. In 1959 is when they finally got it. And it wasn't until some American expats joined in England, got written up by the Village Voice and the New York Times, that it kind of really started to gain a little bit more traction in the States and then around the world.
So it's crazy that it took them 13 years to, 1959 to hit 600, because right after that, and I guess it was because of the interest among Americans that initially started out, like you said, with expats, and then after a couple of articles captured everybody else's attention, that it just took off. Like if you saw a chart, it would look like that hockey stick of global warming. I think it is. Remember that from the 90s, the hockey stick graph?
Sure. Yeah,
so that's pretty much what Mensa membership would look like it from 1959 to 1960. And it was largely thanks to a few people over the years. But one of the first people who really kind of helped Mensa take off as an organization was a guy named John Codella, who was an American PR guy. And he took this group that was, it almost had like fraternity-like origins. Like apparently Roland Burrell had a like part of the early rules was to have a woman seated on a throne wearing a leopard skin and nothing else.
Okay.
As part of the meetings, like it had that kind of vibe to it.
Sure, that vibe.
And when Codella, sure, a kind of Anton LaVey vibe, I guess.
Oh.
And so when John Codella came in the picture, he like kind of dusted off all that stuff and turned it into a legitimate type of organization. Definitely legitimized it, if not made it legitimate.
Right. So in 59, they had 600. By 67, a mere 8 years later, it had swelled up to 12,000 and change. And, that he would get people on TV. It was that kind of thing. Like he was a genuine PR guy. So all of a sudden there were Mensa members, some very charismatic, that were being sort of bandied about in articles and on television.
Well, there's one in particular. He was the chairman, I believe, and he was the guy who I think would go on like Johnny Carson and stuff like that.
That's right. That's what I was talking about. Victor Serebriakov?
I think so. I've seen it compared to cerebrum or cerebral. So I think it's Serebriakov.
Yeah, there's an extra vowel in there that's gumming up the works.
That's right up my alley, though.
Should we take a break?
Sure.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World.
Let's talk Chewy.
Yes. For starters, they've got over 100,000 products. Food, treats, toys, beds. And as a dog and a cat mom, I can go to Chewy for literally anything I need, and it ships fast.
And Chewy's customer service is unreal. Day or night, they're ready to help.
You know what else I love? They handle prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits, and they're rolling out vet clinics across the country.
For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Here at the Happiness Lab, we're serving up some hot takes for the summer. Big ideas that just might reshape how you think about your well-being. Like, we've been thinking about the loneliness epidemic all wrong.
You can be lonely in a marriage. You can be lonely at a party. I don't think loneliness is actually about solitude. Loneliness is about something much bigger.
Or that we should get rid of small talk altogether.
We talk about current events. We talk about what you do for a living, but not, do you love what you do for a living? Is this your dream job?
Or that the mental health crisis isn't what we think it is, and that kids today are doing better than we assume.
It was really disorienting for us as researchers to be so wrong about our hypothesis. We are so scared that we are going to underreact to a severe challenge that we tend to overreact.
For more surprising ideas backed by psychological science, check out our new series, Happiness Hot Takes. Listen to the Happiness Lab with me, Dr. Laurie Santos, on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Every story has a point where it's balanced on a knife's edge.
That's where we begin.
For some, it's a confrontation no parent ever expects.
They finally admit, we're here to take your children. The department has taken custody and we're here to take your kids. It was just shock and horror and desperation.
For others, it's surviving the unthinkable.
As they're having this gun battle, thousands of feet up in the air, many of the bullets start to puncture the aircraft. I thought we were going to die then.
The Knife is a podcast about real people whose lives were upended in an instant.
We talk to the people who lived it, unpacking what happened, how they got through it, and what came next.
And on our off-record episodes, we go even deeper into the reporting and answer the questions you can't stop thinking about.
New episodes drop every Thursday on the Exactly Right Network and the iHeart Podcast Network.
Listen to The Knife on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so Mensa is gaining members very steadily. It is growing throughout the decades. You could, if you wanted to be a member, you could mail them some money. And I know a cynical view would be like they're just like trying to make money, but it's an organization that needs money to run. I doubt if they have some super rich fund that they dig into, because when you look at the things they do, it's really nothing like super lavish. They don't have like yacht parties and stuff from what I can tell.
No, but I've never run across any kind of intimation that it's a money-making scheme of any sort.
Yeah, I just mean for the listener, like, oh yeah, mail them a check and they'll send you a test. But that's how it works. You mail them a check. Back in the day, they would send you a test. I think it was Cerebrikov who said, you know what we can also do is we can have these supervised, like actually someone would come and administer a test. It would be a little more official, might cost a little more money. We need a constitution. So they said, not a bad idea. And if you read their constitution, the 3 tenets are really pretty great. It's identify and foster human intelligence for the benefit of humanity. No problem there. Encourage research in the nature, characteristics, and uses of intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Check. And provide a stimulating intellectual and social environment for members. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, of course. And then number 4, force breeding of people according to intelligence.
Yeah, no problems, right?
Mm-mm.
No, they didn't do that.
No. So there was kind of a heyday, it seems like, in the 60s, I think. And apparently there was a lot of tension at first between UK and US. And within just a couple of years of coming on the scene, the Kansas City chapter staged a revolt against the UK headquarters.
They grabbed their 6-shooters and...
Basically, I saw that they launched like a poison pen attack where
Did
they would
really?
write... Yes, they would write the employers of these Mensa like higher-ups and basically accuse them of terrible stuff. And finally got the American chapters to basically be independent and equal. And that formed Mensa International. But the 60s were kind of a heyday. The 70s seemed to be ho-hum. And then apparently the 80s took off because from what I saw in this article, and I can't remember what maybe the Independent from 1996, it said that the kind of the through line of an organization like Mensa, the idea that some people are just naturally more intelligent than others,
mm-hmm.
really jibes with that Reagan-Thatcher era of mentality, of getting away from the idea that, you can achieve if you're given the right kind of stuff. It's like, no, you got this problem over here. We got we're over here. We're not going to help you because why would we? Because you're beyond help. You're not naturally gifted. That kind of conservative thread that was really present in the Thatcher-Reagan 80s made Mensa a lot more respectable or a lot more appealing during that time from what I saw.
Yeah, and I think in England it peaked in the 90s, or 1990 specifically, with about 30,000 there, and now is fewer than 20,000. So Dave said, some of this might be, the Mensa image problem might be to blame. But, it's just one of those organizations. It's going to have its ups and downs over the years, I'm sure, as far as membership numbers,
Yeah. So how do you get in, Chuck? If you want to get into Mensa, what do you do, Hotshot?
You bake some cookies for Geena Davis.
Sure, that doesn't hurt.
No, it's really easy, actually, in practice. You just need to score within the top 2% of an intelligence test. And it's not like you can just take any intelligence test. It depends on... now there's an official Mensa test,
right?
That you take, but there are also other IQ tests that can qualify. The Stanford Binet test, the Cattell 3B test, and I think we should hold off on sort of the big reveal, the big twist here for another few minutes.
Okay,
we'll keep that in our hip pocket.
I can't wait to know what it is.
An official from your country will administer their test to you, and it takes a couple hours if you take the official Mensa test. These are those, if you've ever taken an IQ test, it's not like the SAT. It's a logic and reasoning test generally, and the questions are things like you're doing a lot of sequencing, like look at these shapes, which shape would come next, which number would come next. It does test verbal intelligence and vocabulary and stuff like that. Math is a part of it, but it's timed, which is one of the big sort of not caveats, but the big thing you have to remember is you have to be a good test taker, and you have to be able to take tests under pressure, timed pressure.
Right, like that one scene in Swordfish with poor Hugh Jackman.
I didn't see that.
You didn't miss much at all.
Okay.
So that's the standard Mensa test, Mensa admissions test. And some people say, well, hold on, if you're a non-native English speaker and you're in America, those tests have been shown to be biased toward certain people, usually based on language. So Mensa also administers what's called the Culture Fair test.
Yeah.
And it's nothing
FAIR, weirdly.
Yeah. It's nothing but shapes and symbols and, what comes next kind of thing. And I took a test like that. It was, I think, Norwegian in origin. And I got to like question 6 before I'm like, I have no idea whatsoever what shape would come next. The first few I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. And then it just got so increasingly difficult that I just stopped. I just had no idea what was next.
Was this recently? You did that for this?
Yeah, it was yesterday. And I had a little blood coming out of my ear. I felt really disoriented, and I woke up in a pool of my own urine.
Yeah. You can also take a 30-minute online like Mensa workout thing for free, which is sort of just an amuse-bouche to see if you might want the full deal.
A gift of the chef.
I thought about taking one of these for this episode, and then I was like, I don't want to. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's I think another thing too is like this like taking a test like that is probably up your alley if you're interested in becoming a Mensa member.
Yeah, I don't think I'm great at tests like that, and maybe I don't want to know that I am or am not. Maybe I'm just happy with my life.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm happy doing my New York Times crossword and spelling bee and playing Wordle, and that's good enough for me.
I think that's fine. I mean, it's not like you're proving anything to anybody by becoming a member of Mensa, except maybe to yourself.
I tried. I mean, honestly, I was like, oh, that'll be fun. I'll take it, and I'll embarrass myself to our listeners by saying what I scored. And every time I went to do it, I went, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I didn't do it.
So there's a whole hook to that whole thing, a catch, I guess is what you'd say if you use the right word. You can take those tests, the standard test or the culture fair test, one time each.
That's a big one.
And if you don't pass, meaning you don't score in the top 2% of the average American, you can never take those tests again. Like you just have been denied admission into Mensa through those tests. There is another way. There's a backdoor man way. That is what I think they call it at Mensa.
Yeah, this was the thing we were keeping in our hip pocket. You don't have to take this test because two-thirds of all members did not take that official Mensa test. You can also pay a fee, not just people like pay like $1,000 to get in. No, pay a regular $40 fee, and they can accept results from about 150 different standardized intelligence tests that they evaluate based on, the general population. So they'll basically just say, give us your test that you took. We'll see if you're in the top 2% and you can get in that way. That's a big backdoor.
It sure is a big backdoor, Chuck. So one of the ways that you could get in is if you qualified for your high school's gifted program. Sure. Or if you were super smarty pants, your middle school or even elementary school's gifted program, they gave you a bunch of different intelligence tests back then. If your school didn't burn down in a fire, it's possible they still have those records and you could have them via a sealed envelope from the school sent to send your test results to Mensa. Mensa will check it out and be like, yep, you're in, buddy. You're in.
Now, question about these gifted programs. Does that mean like the AP classes?
Yes.
All right, here's the deal, my friend.
Oh, okay.
I was in AP English and AP History.
Okay.
And then when I saw, and we'll go ahead and mention this, you can submit your SAT and ACT scores, your GRE and your LSATs. Mm-hmm. And if between 74 and 94,
right,
if you scored a 1250 or higher on the SAT, you would get into Mensa, even retroactively.
Yeah.
And buddy, I scored an 1170. I wasn't as far off as I thought.
Oh, that's great. You're not in Mensa, but that's great.
No, but if I would have known that back then, I might have tried a couple of more times. I took it once.
I took it once too. I got a 1090.
That's good too.
No, it's average.
No. 1090. I think anything that breaks 1,000 is on the higher side. Not high, but it's higher than average, right?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty comfortably right in the middle of average.
They don't even score it that way anymore though, right?
No, they don't. So up to after 94, they won't accept your SAT scores anymore because the SAT switched from testing general intelligence to testing what you'd learned in school thus far. So it was like it went from being like an IQ test basically to an exit exam for high school is
I
kind
think
of what they changed it
would
to.
do worse on that kind of test, actually. Would have done worse.
Yeah, I think I took the intelligence one. I don't remember because I definitely took it in. Well, no, I probably would have taken it before 94. I probably would have taken it in like 93.
I think you probably would have taken it your sophomore or junior year, right?
Yeah, so it was probably 92, 93 that I took it. So I took the original intelligence test, and I got a 1090. And it doesn't feel great, Chuck. I feel good saying it out loud, but it doesn't feel great.
Well, that was back then very easy to get into the University of Georgia. It's a lot harder now. They've really tightened it down.
Yeah, because of the Hope Grant, which started the year I started to try to get in. So it got hard to get into Georgia the year that I started to try.
Yeah, I was.
And I got to tell you, when I showed up with my 1090 SAT score, they said, "Keep walking, pal."
Do you remember your high school GPA?
What?
Are you pleading the fifth?
I don't even know what that is.
I don't remember my GPA. I want to say it was. It wasn't. I mean, my brother, I think, was a 4.0.
Of course.
But I think I was like a 3.2 or something.
Oh, that's good.
Low threes. I mean, that's
pretty great.
Slightly above average. I think it was a good B student.
I would think mine was probably lower than that. Like, I was not at all interested in school. I liked history. I thought earth science was pretty cool. No big surprise.
Smart later, huh?
It wasn't until I got to college and wanted to like go to college. I just suddenly like turned from Saul to Paul all of a sudden as far as college is concerned, and just completely started to take things seriously and got interested in learning. And it was then that I started to become like a 4.0 student in college. Not at all in high school.
I was never a 4.0 student.
Well, I went to some easy colleges on the way to Georgia.
Well, my deal was I still am like this. I have a hard time tackling anything with enthusiasm that I don't want to do. So I've always been that way since I was a kid. And so in my English classes, I made A's and B's. And in my non-major classes, not all of them, but the ones I wasn't super into, I made C's and a D or two.
Oh, yeah. I have those under my belt, too, especially math. And it wasn't because I wouldn't try. I just genuinely couldn't get math.
Yeah.
And one of the best things I ever did as far as math is concerned was I took geometry twice in high school. And the second time, it just clicked.
Oh,
like,
nice.
I understood. Like, I was walking around like I was Pythagoras all of a sudden at high school. I just understood geometry that second time around. It was really cool. It was a great feeling to just have something like that click that was so foreign and so difficult before. All of a sudden, I just understood it the second time around.
Well, and we went to school in an era when, there were not a lot of accommodations made for different kinds of learning at all, much less different learning disabilities. And it was a different time. There's so much better now about, every kid learns in their own way, and we can try and accommodate that. And in a lot of schools, not every school, obviously. Still a lot of work to be done. Yeah,
I can't remember. I guess it was probably the NBC nightly news, the national news. They have like a sweet human interest story like at the end of every show. And they had one recently, and it was about an integrated school in that like they didn't separate kids with like learning disabilities or physical, I don't even know what you call it. Differences. Thank you. And kids who don't have those, like they were all in the same class together. And I was like, holy cow, that's a huge improvement. Yeah. Because they used to be like, if you had facial differences and no cognitive disability whatsoever, just facial differences, they would put you in a class with other people.
All you get over here.
Yeah, I mean, like,
crazy.
It was like the dark ages in the 80s and 90s,
man.
When we were in school. But the like now they're just integrating kids, at least in this one school. I thought it was so cool. But it was based on this Instagram post where this little kid, I think he was probably about 5 or 6, has cerebral palsy, and he just had a little friend who was a girl who was the same age who just loved him and just played with him. They were like best friends. She didn't seem to treat him any differently than she did any of the other kids, but it just like so touched her mom. She posted on Instagram. Of course, it went viral. And it was a sweet story, but I just thought it was really remarkable. And I was really glad to hear that now they're just like integrating kids by age level, not separating them by anything else. So hats off to school districts doing that.
I love it. The final kind of test we should mention that can get you in is if you were in the military prior to 1980, you might be able to use your aptitude test that you took back then. Now they do more vocational aptitude testing, but back pre-80, they would do intelligence testing, and you can use some of those if you did.
You want to take a break and then talk about what you do if you get into Mensa?
Let's do it.
This is Danielle Fishel,
Ryder Strong,
and Will Friedle from Pod Meets World.
Let's talk Chewy.
Yes. For starters, they've got over 100,000 products. Food, treats, toys, beds. And as a dog and a cat mom, I can go to Chewy for literally anything I need, and it ships fast.
And Chewy's customer service is unreal. Day or night, they're ready to help.
You know what else I love? They handle prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth, vet visits, and they're rolling out vet clinics across the country.
For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Every story has a point where it's balanced on a knife's edge.
That's where we begin.
For some, it's a confrontation no parent ever expects.
They finally admit, we're here to take your children. The department has taken custody and we're here to take your kids. It was just shock and horror and desperation.
For others, it's surviving the unthinkable.
As they're having this gun battle, thousands of feet up in the air, many of the bullets start to puncture the aircraft. I thought we were going to die then.
The Knife is a podcast about real people whose lives were upended in an instant.
We talk to the people who lived it, unpacking what happened, how they got through it, and what came next.
And on our off-record episodes, we go even deeper into the reporting and answer the questions you can't stop thinking about.
New episodes drop every Thursday on the Exactly Right Network and the iHeart Podcast Network.
Listen to The Knife on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Things are getting eerie this week on Snafu with Ed Helms. My Favorite Murder hosts Karen Kilgariff and Georgia Hardstark join me for the unsolved kidnapping of William Morgan. It's a great true crime story filled with secret society intrigue and murder.
Freemason files.
Karen, you just birthed a conspiracy, and I'm here for it.
Yay.
Listen to Snafu on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay, Chuck. So let's see. If you get into Mensa, there's a lot of things people do. One thing people do is take the test, say I'm in Mensa, and congratulate themselves for a couple of weeks, and that's it. Other people join Mensa because they have this sense, and rightfully so, that they will probably meet a lot of people like them who are smart, probably really like games, really like trivia, really like Star Trek. That is not a stereotype. That is for real. Might be into nudism, might really love beer. Just stuff that you would have like an interest in. But if you wanted to hang out with other high IQ people who have interests in that, you could do worse than joining Mensa, I think.
Yeah, you have to be an active member. You have to keep up with your dues, which are $79 a year, and they have not a sliding scale, but they have if you sign up for and pay multiple years at a time, you can get that number down by average and stuff like that. Or you can pay for like a lifetime membership prorated by your age if you want to pay all at once and save some money. But the dues are $79 a year, and then, like you said, there are what they're called special interest groups. If you want to drill down in your local area and be a member of like the Mensa Investment Club is a really popular one, where I imagine people sit around and talk about finances and smart ways to take care of your money. It's like any other, local group that there's probably a Mensa knitting group. I guarantee it. It's just that you're meeting with people that are like-minded and that they're all good at they're high IQ and they're good at taking those kind of tests.
Right. And again, if you want some like unkind characterizations of, what it's like at some of these, like you can just throw a rock on the internet and you'll find some article about somebody who like took the Mensa test and ended up at a Mensa meetup and now they're writing about it, but they're not really a member kind of thing. There's plenty of stuff out there, but suffice to say that like they're people who really like board games and really like beer and are probably like really sexually active to a surprising degree. And one thing I saw, Chuck, that seems to be genuine is that there is a kind of a libertarian right-leaning bent that seems to be fairly common in the Mensa world.
Yeah, in the modern Mensa world, I've seen that in more places than one. And, like you said, someone will go to one of these conferences and then do a write-up about it and say, like, there was a lot of drinking late night. There was a lot of people hooking up. It's sort of like any conference you would go to. Again, except they're made up of people that are good at taking this kind of test. But there usually is some sort of mention of like, yeah, there seemed to be a sort of right-wing bent to, and again, there's 150,000 members. That's a generalization, but
yeah,
at least that's what's being written.
Yeah. So the big deal gathering that they have every year, the big conference, is called the annual gathering, the AG. Last year they had one it was like a world gathering because it was the 75th anniversary of Mensa's founding. And they had that in Houston of all places. So the 2022 one is coming up in July. It's at the Golden Nugget in Sparks, Reno, Nevada. And they're having the Hidden Figures author, Margaret Lee Shatterly.
Nice.
I think she is the keynote who's going to speak about Hidden Figures. There's also a drag show during a breakfast brunch, probably on Saturday or Sunday. And then the other thing they're going to do is drink, play games, drink, and drink. Yeah. I think is what else is going to go on at the AG.
It's really interesting. There are other smaller get-togethers. There's one called the Colloquium, which is an annual thing. It's just one day, and it's, they'll have like themed topics at this one, like crime scene intelligence would be one. There are Mind Games, which is a 4-day board game extravaganza where people, this is since 1990, they get together and play board games. And a game can actually qualify as Mensa Select on the label if they deem it so. So technically, the Stuff You Should Know board game might be played at the Mind Games conference, and it might even get that stamp one day.
Yeah.
You never know.
Great. You never know. I mean, Apples to Apples got it, and our game is at least as popular as that.
Yeah, Taboo got it.
Yeah. Categories?
And then there's Culture Quest. It's obviously Mensa members are probably generally into stuff like trivia. And there's Dave calls it a trivia throwdown, where they play trivia games against one another.
So one of the other things about Mensa that it's well known for at their meetups is that people will wear name tags. Third try. and there'll be a colored dot next to their name, and depending on the color of the dot, it indicates how welcoming they are toward hugs from other people. And this, by the way, this has been going on for a while. This is kind of like a long-standing Mensa tradition.
It's very forward-thinking.
It is very forward-thinking because, frankly, we could all kind of use the green dots or the hug dot system.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, I'm a hugger, but a lot of people don't like to be hugged, and it's one of these things I just learned in the past few years that with choosing what you do with your body and what people do to your body, that you shouldn't just go up and hug somebody.
Mm-hmm.
That's, it's just not, some people genuinely don't like that kind of human contact. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I go up and just tackle everyone I see. I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I made someone uncomfortable or anything like that. But it's good to realize that not everyone is into the same level of human contact.
Mm-hmm.
And you shouldn't put your norm on them. And they have a very elegant way of doing that with these green dots, or yellow dots, or red dots, or blue dots.
Yeah, green is all hugs are welcome. Yellow is ask before hugging.
Well, that's Chuck now.
Red dot, no hugs at all.
That's you.
Blue, yeah, it should say burns like acid. Blue dot means I'm single.
I think that means more than I'm single. You know what I mean?
I think that means lead with your hips when you're hugging me, please.
Yeah, I think so.
So what else, Chuck? What else do we have to say about Mensa?
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about their image problem a bit. Like you said, you can throw a rock on the internet and open almost any article, and you will see someone bagging on Mensa in kind of a snotty way. And I don't know, man, the more I read about it, the more I just thought, you know what? These are probably, a lot of these people probably got teased growing up because they may be fairly bookish. And stop now. You're adults. Don't continue this sort of bullying in newspapers by saying, yeah, I went to these things and it was a bunch of dorks playing board games and trying to get laid. They literally say that stuff in these articles.
They do. And so I don't think it's just out of meanness. I think whether they're picking up on it unconsciously or overtly, it's the people who write those kind of articles typically are not right-leaning. So they're picking up on that right-leaning undercurrent. And then they're also kind of pointing to some disturbing and alarming and just straight up gross ideas that people from Mensa have supported over the years, or at least proposed. And so when you take a group that focuses on IQ and inherently suggests that some people are superior to others, that can lead you to all sorts of unsavory rabbit holes. And some people on Mensa or that are part of Mensa are not afraid to go down those rabbit holes and discuss them and talk about them. Free speech is a huge thing among Mensans, and they very much resent not being able to say whatever they want to say. So it's with those articles, it's revealing there's a culture clash between the person who's writing the article and the Mensans that are the foil to them. That seems to be the crux of those articles.
Yeah, and there was a lot of news made kind of more recently when a comedian named Jamie Loftus, who, by the way, has a podcast on our network called The Bechtel Cast. Mm-hmm. Great show, movie show. Yeah. Jamie's a comedian who did a 4-part episode called My Year in Mensa, where she joined Mensa. I think the story was sort of just took the test one morning while hungover and then didn't have a good experience and became the target. There's this Facebook group, a Mensa Facebook group that's unmoderated called Firehouse, which can be very unkind. And I think she, Loftus had a bad experience there. And again, with the sort of alt-right undercurrent. And so that's what the basis of that podcast was. So I'm certainly not defending that stuff,
So, yeah, I mean, no, anytime anybody's attacked online, that sucks. But Dave, I think, kind of discovered like the genuine criticism that you could level against Mensa as a whole, and that is they're basing everything on IQ, and IQ tests test a certain kind of smartness, completely leaves out things like emotional intelligence, street smarts,
creativity.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. It's a group of people who do really well on aptitude tests. It's a society of people who do really well on aptitude tests, and like the idea that they're joining the ranks of people who are in the top 2% of that group of people, that type of person. So the fact that it's kind of bandied about as like the Society for Intelligent People. It kind of misses a lot. But he also points out that they don't bill themselves as that. They bill themselves as the High IQ Society, which is a much narrower definition. And if you take it on its face value, then that makes sense. But most people out in the general public who hear about Mensa don't kind of differentiate between those two things.
Right. And if you get 150,000 of any people together in a group, you're going to have a couple of hundred that are pretty bad people that do bad things on Facebook. So it's like, I just have a hard time sometimes when entire organizations get lumped in because of, and I don't want to say a few bad apples, but just the actions of what's clearly a minority.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except Nazis.
Yeah. Yeah, they were nothing but bad apples.
That's right.
Well, if you want to know more about Mensa, you can start poking around the internet. And since I said you can start poking around the internet, that means it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this a young listener. Hey, guys, brand new listener to the show. I first heard about you through the new book, which I checked out of the library the day before my baby was born. After my husband returned to work, I was trying to figure out a way to get the baby to sleep and tried reading to her, so I picked up Stuff You Should Know, hoping the soothing sound of my voice would lull her to sleep. And that is how my husband walked in on me reading about Jack Kevorkian to a 3-week-old and put a temporary moratorium on reading to her. I think that's probably a joke. Well, I was hooked, and now that I've returned to work, I'm going through the backlog of episodes and learning while in the car. Thanks for helping me get through that postpartum period, Jessica.
That's fantastic. I'm glad you're bringing them up young, Jessica. Thank you very much. And congratulations on your little gift to the world.
Yes, that's right.
Well, if you want to be like Jessica and let us know about your late night readings or listenings or goings on or anything like that, or if you've had experiences in Mensa, if you're a member of Mensa, we want to hear from you. You can send us an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
This is Danielle Fishel.
Ryder Strong.
And Will Friedle from Pod Meets World. You know what I didn't expect? Becoming best friends with Chewy's customer service.
Oh, been there. I've chatted with them as late as midnight. They actually get pet people.
And if Pickles or Lucky hate something, I just send it back. 100% satisfaction guarantee gives you a whole year to make a return. No questions asked.
Meanwhile, I'm over here ordering everything for Bill and Brunch. Food, treats, beds, toys. Because Chewy has over 100,000 products to choose from.
And it shows up in like a day. I mean, my dog Sammy thinks the delivery driver is her personal assistant, and I'm not sure she's wrong.
It's not just for dogs and cats either. They've got stuff for birds, fish, reptiles. The list goes on and on.
And the health side is huge for me, too. Prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits.
They're even opening vet clinics now.
My cat pretends he doesn't care, but he benefits.
Chewy just makes the whole pet parent thing easier. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/world.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.